not only feel safe with like stress or like, big negative emotions or sadness or grief or whatever, but to also be safe experiencing positive emotions. And
You mentioned like the positive stresses, like feeling like safe to like kind of like let your guard down or,
yeah,
what is that? Because I know that there's a lot of
simplicity and setting ourselves up for success. So let's
Mhm.
regulating our nervous system and just like dropping into the body and relaxing the body when it's easy, when we're already calm. Because
Okay.
why try doing like, these crazy stressful moments?
Welcome to another Million Miles, your personal lifestyle concierge with credibility. I'm Danielle Kiesling, and in each episode, I connect you with unparalleled access to authentic, credible voices from across the entire world of beauty, wellness, fashion, travel, and mindset. Hi, friends, and welcome back to another Million Miles, the podcast where we explore journeys, breakthroughs, and ideas that help us create more fulfillment, resilience, and purpose in our lives. Today's conversation is one that I think so many people are going to connect with. Have you ever literally felt like you've done all the work, read all the books, listened to all the podcasts, gone to therapy, developed self-awareness, and yet you're still finding yourself reacting to the same situations, experiencing the same stresses of life, or feeling stuck in these patterns? Well, I can speak for myself. That definitely has happened to me. And today's guest, Liz Shellac, founder of Evolve Therapy and Counseling and creator of the Sovereign Body Method, is setting a revolutionary framework that really helps people move through these simple stresses with solutions that they're understanding really their challenges and they can actually begin transforming how they emotionally respond to them. So without further ado, I'd love to bring Liz on because she's got some amazing information and I want all of the time. So thank you, Liz, for coming on to Another Million Miles.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. So I love to speak about what you do, first of all. I love to speak and tell our audience, the importance of a balance and stress-free life. But as you know, as you dive deep into it, it's not always the easy thing to accomplish. So give me a little bit of background about yourself and like why and how you chose to kind of get on this journey with life and helping people manage, a sovereign life.
So, I mean, when I first became a therapist, I was just really curious about like human behavior and why people do what they do. And, with like you're in school and you do all these internships and you have like opportunity to see a lot of clients. And I was noticing clients coming in with, like real life problems and real patterns that they were noticing that made sense why they were feeling this way and why they were reacting this way. But as therapists, we were kind of just trained to like, here's a worksheet or here, do some coping skills or do some box breathing. And I would always ask, like, I don't know, that's just how I always was, I would ask people like, okay, like, does this work for you? What do you think about this? How do you like, do you enjoy this? Right. And a lot of people would say like, yeah, when I get anxious, like I do, the breathing or I'll do orienting or whatever. And it like kind of works, but like I still get really anxious every time I'm in the same situation. So I started thinking about it. I'm like, there must be something more that we can do, right? There must be a different way, a way to like actually impact how we feel in day-to-day life. And I also did like a lot of this work on myself, just like noticing my patterns and just trying to figure out like what is going to work for me.
Mhm.
And I noticed that, and I took a lot of courses and I studied trauma and stress and all of that, just trying to like figure out what are we missing here. And I realized that a lot of us were missing kind of just before, because a lot of therapists want to jump into like, tell me what's going on, tell me about your life, tell me about your childhood. And like that could be really overwhelming for a
Mhm.
lot of people. And also doing these coping skills while you're already anxious is also really difficult. So a lot of people were saying like, yeah, I'm sure it would work, but I forget because I'm already so anxious. Like I forget what you told me to do.
Mhm.
So I realized we're missing like that nervous system and body component
Mhm.
because we're trained in like talk therapy. So we sort of like forgot about it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I just read something or I spoke with somebody about, the kind of what you just said, the reverse of like accountability, right? Like we're giving people so many tools almost that it's like you're like, oh my God, you're having like a reverse reaction. You're already on that flight or flight mode. And then it's like it throws them into a whole nother loop of now, well, I didn't do my homework. Now I'm really messed up.
Yeah.
Now what? So
Now I'm gonna be in trouble with my therapist. I'm like, no,
yeah.
this is not what we're doing here.
Yeah. Well, so okay, so with that said, how have you been able to kind of break through to your clients using your methods, and what is your approach, and like in backing up, what are you seeing like being a consistent pattern right now with our society?
I see a lot of people, especially women, who are so just overwhelmed and stressed, and they're coming into session, or even with like my friends and my family, like I see it everywhere because I notice these things, but they are telling me like, I know I need to do more self-care, I know I need to rest, I know I need to do meditate or whatever, like I know I need to do this laundry list of things, but I'm like, yeah, but you're so busy and you have work, and then some people are in school, and then you maybe have kids, or you have family, or you have the dog, and then you have to cook dinner, and then you have to, so I'm like, yeah, like sure, it would be great if you could do those things, but is it realistic for you right now? Like, do you have the time to do it? And usually, no, they don't. So I realized that I don't want, like you said, like I don't want to give people like more things to do. Right?
Mhm.
We already have so much to do. Like we don't need more homework. We don't need more things to do. We don't want these things to feel like another job. We
Mhm.
want things to feel more just like connection
Mhm.
and releasing that stress. So how our approach is different is we work in like the most neutral moments before the anxiety starts. Like when you're just like, when you're already feeling, to relax, like when you're hanging out on the couch, or if people like driving. For me, I used to do a lot of this, nervous system regulation when I was driving, because that was like the calmest part of my day for me. So that's like the little difference, because I believe in like simplicity and setting ourselves up for success. So
Mhm.
let's regulating our nervous system and just like dropping into the body and relaxing the body when it's easy, when we're already calm, because
Okay.
why doing like these crazy stressful moments.
Yeah. So give me an example. What do you do when you're driving? Because I'm like, wow. Usually I like go into like, I have to like regulate my nervous system by like
Mhm.
meditating, or, and that
Yeah.
freaks people out. So tell me, how do you do this?
So I feel like sometimes, yeah, like that is kind of the go-to of like what we, tell clients of like, okay, do some breathing, or like, oh my God, you're anxious, like do box breathing, or like meditate. Pretty much what we're saying is like, you're anxious, stop that. I feel like that's so rude. But so yeah, so we do it in like calm, neutral moments, and it doesn't really matter what you do. It's just more like the intention behind it. So the intention is like, even right now, if you like can drop down into your body and notice where that tension is.
Mhm.
So for me, it's like usually in my like shoulders, my
Yeah.
neck. Go get a massage, and she's like, "Girl." So like just regularly, as often as possible. I like to do it with a breath, but there's like a million different ways to do it. So I would just take a deep breath, and then on that long exhale, just release that tension from the
Mhm.
body.
Yeah.
And I usually tell my clients, do 3 breaths like this throughout the day, whenever you remember. If some people, like they don't want to do breathing, they're not comfortable with that, like that's okay. There's so many different things that we can figure out that works best for each individual. It's less about the tools that you use and more just about regularly throughout the day releasing that tension from the body. Because it's the repetition that rewires our brain and our nervous system.
Okay. So you just said something that I think everyone needs to like hone in on, or like really like think about. It's not exactly the technique that you do. It's like how many times you do, and I think what you feel comfortable doing, right? So
Yeah.
I think that like there's open-minded people that are like, I've never taken a breath workshop, but I'll try it. A lot of people are like, what's breathing going to do for me? I've got
Yeah,
to like
exactly.
go down the list and check off my priorities for my life to get better. So I love that you call that out, because it's a unique and personalized approach to everyone's
Yeah.
only level of stress, or what is stressing them out, but like what they're actually going to do about it, whether rather than just, feel like they've signed up for another program or read another book, and what's actually is they're not actually practicing what they've read.
Yeah, well, because a lot of people like logically understand, right? Like it doesn't work for me. I can't keep going like this, right? So we, like people read the books and, go on the internet and like learn a bunch of things, but it's always like, okay, yeah, like I understand that, I'm probably reacting this way because of something that happened in the past, but what do I do about it now? So this is kind of like okay, like we're actually going to start changing just how you exist in the world. Because I mean, it makes sense if we've been through like so many stressful experiences in our past, the adrenaline, the cortisol, all of that literally causes our muscles to tense up, our breathing to become like rapid and shallow. And we need that. That's not a problem, right? Because if there's real danger and somebody's like chasing us down the street, we need that activation.
Mhm.
But a lot of people, like even when we're not in that dangerous space, if we're just literally in a safe room, like at home, like our body is still in that state, ready, anticipating, like kind of our nervous system becomes this like danger scanning machine, like always looking out for the next stress. So what this like does is it just shows our body evidence of safety. Because we have evidence of stress and, perceived danger or real danger. What we're doing is just like repeatedly showing ourselves evidence that, okay, right now I'm safe. Because if you're not safe, yeah, of course, like, we need that activation, but we also need to, if we're actually safe, let our body know that we're safe.
Yeah. Probably the most common ways besides breathing to subconsciously, I guess, train your thoughts, right? Train your brain, your nervous system.
So I usually like asking people, like, also which one of the five senses do they think that would help them the most to, again, just like remember and like lock in that intention and lock in that practice. Some people like going for walks, right? Or even if you're just inside and you want to look out the window and like look at the clouds, it doesn't, like it said, it doesn't matter what you do as long as when you're looking at those clouds, you're releasing the tension from your muscles. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. That's something to think about too, is like you kind of gravitate towards those things and you just kind of check out or zone out. But the reality is it's giving your brain a bit and your central nervous system a minute to relax. And that's probably, if you find peace in something like that, that's your powerful moment.
Yeah. So any of the senses can be used. Like I have clients who have like a cat, right? So they like love sitting with their cat on the couch and petting the cat. And I'm like, wonderful. You already do that. Great. Lock it in with the intention. Notice when you're petting your cat, like where's the tension in your body? And then just like release it or let it go. Or sometimes, well, even me, I'll be sitting on the couch, like finally done with everything, just relaxing, hanging out. And I'm like, okay, but is my body still tense? Cause like, technically, I'm relaxing. I'm not working. I'm safe. I'm good, but maybe my body is still tense. So for me, I'm like, okay, let me check in and then just release it. And it literally, like I said, it doesn't matter what you do. It's more
Hmm.
just like doing it repeatedly and picking something that is like super easy for you. Because like I
Hmm.
said, I'm like big on like, let's set ourselves up for success. Let's do what's simple.
Hmm. I love that. Yeah. It's also interesting for people to listen to and hear what is stress? What exactly is stress and what is it doing inside our body? Because I think that we use the word stress very lightly.
Yeah. I mean, it's trying to protect us. It's trying to protect us from some danger because if we've been in maybe real danger, people have had like traumatic experiences in the past, our body releases that adrenaline, that cortisol to try to protect us. So what it does in the body is it tenses our muscles, it makes our breathing rapid and shallow, it kind of locks our attention in on the threat. But if we've been there like too often or too many times, we can get stuck in this guarded state. So if you think about it, like in a way, it's not a problem because we need that response. Like for people who are still maybe in like unsafe situations, we kind of need to be like alert all the time. We need to always be checking, right? Everything outside of ourselves, like who's around, how are they feeling, what are they doing, check my environment, right? But if we're not in that situation anymore, then the most healing thing is like checking in with ourselves, like interoception instead of exteroception and noticing what's going on inside. It's really there to protect us. Like it's not a problem. That's why like I always tell my clients, like everything you're experiencing now is a normal response to things that happened in the past. You're not broken. There's nothing to be fixed.
Yeah.
But we can kind of like rewire these things a little bit just so when there's real safety, and your body knows that it's
Yeah.
safe.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And, you hear a lot of things about hormones now, cortisol, dopamine hits with this cold plunging. Like people are talking like how to change those levels in your body. So, when you're under stress and like, we talk about the central nervous system as well. What's happening physiologically in the body? And I think when people understand that, they like, because some people are scientific, some people are emotional, some people are, they get the physical or the emotional element to it. So what is happening in our when we're under stress, and how does regulating the central nervous system help like calm us and
Yeah.
balance?
So also when we're under stress, like our vagus nerve, the one that's responsible for rest and digest, kind of gets stuck and frozen. So our body is in this state. Our body's job and our brain's job is just to like.
Welcome to another Million Miles, your personal lifestyle concierge with credibility. Here we go beyond surface level advice. We dive deep into transformational insights from experts who set the standard in their fields.
Keep us safe, keep us alive. Not really to keep us happy, right? Because we need that survival instinct. So if our body is focused on just staying alive and always scanning for danger, checking for danger, all of the other like things that we need our body to do kind of take a second place. That's why we see a lot of people with like autoimmune diseases, or like literally even like digestion slows down. We also see issues on like either side of the vagus nerve. So it connects from our brain to like our body. So a lot of people will have problems on either side, either headaches or stomach aches. So a lot of people, like I see actual like medical symptoms, and they're going to the doctor, and the doctor's like, well, no, you're fine. Like your blood work is fine. I don't know what to tell you. I literally had a client, and she went to the hospital, and she was like, what's going on? And the nurse was just like, stress. So she comes to me, she's like, okay, what do we do about this? And then so when we start regulating, our body knows that it's safe enough to kind of like turn on all these other processes that we need.
Interesting. I think that's fascinating. I think our body is such a complex machine.
So interesting.
Yeah, it's so interesting. But like, I think it's so, do you believe that the body has so much ability of healing itself?
Yeah, neuroplasticity is like a real thing. And that's the wonderful part, is that just because our body kind of got stuck in this guarded state doesn't mean that we can't change it. But also we got here from like a lot of repeated experience of like, whether it's trauma or just stress or any adverse experiences, we do have the ability to literally rewire circuits in our brain and, recalibrate our nervous system. But it's also going to just take some repetition.
Like you keep saying rewiring our brain. What are your thoughts on like where this programming is coming from? Is it coming from, like what we've done in the past, like reflection of, like childhood, society? What is like this rewiring of the brain?
It's a lot of it is just conditioning, right? Some patterns that we might notice in ourselves that maybe we don't like, for example, like people pleasing, right? We developed that for a reason, right? Needed probably at some earlier point in our life to be super aware of how, for example, our parents were feeling, or what kind of response they wanted from us, or what kind of behavior they wanted from us. And especially for girls, like you have to be a good girl and you have to be quiet and you have to, because if we weren't, then maybe our parents would respond in a way that we perceived as like love being taken away. So that was our safety. Because imagine, like as a child, like you need your parents to survive. You need them to feed you, to, provide shelter, clothing, everything. So we do that. We turn on this like kind of always checking with everybody else, how everybody else is feeling. And then how do I need to respond in order to like pacify this other person, or just to keep them happy enough to help me survive? And we carry that into our adulthood and just sort of like apply this behavior now to everybody else in our lives. So the rewiring of it is literally, I believe everything is a lot easier with like a more relaxed body and a more regulated nervous system. But we then start with, with our clients actually changing how we respond. So noticing this urge to like people please, of like, okay, I really like, maybe in the past would have said this, but like, let me pause, let me take a second, let me respond with my truth. Let me be honest. Let me set a boundary. Let me, say what I actually need to say, no matter how hard it is. And then also with experience and with like doing this over and over again, realizing that whatever the outcome is okay. We can handle that outcome. Whether the other person is like super receptive of it, or if they get upset with us, or if they're disappointed in us, or they stop liking us. Also, just a regulated nervous system and a relaxed body helps us be okay with that. Of course, we want people to like us, but if they don't like us, I know that I'm still going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And just
Yeah.
repeatedly doing that over and over again.
It's fascinating. It's so fascinating. Tell me about, because you have trademarked this, what is it called? Sovereign.
Sovereign body method, yeah.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more information on that and how people can, either work with you or find you or what this exactly is.
So yeah, it's a structured like 4-phase framework for therapy because I also noticed, a lot of therapy just kind of like doesn't really have a plan and we're expecting the client to come in and tell us what happened this week and sometimes I noticed like repeating kind of the same narratives over and over again. So it's not steps, it's not linear, but they're definitely like phases that we cover in therapy. And we always start with that nervous system regulation first. In calm moments, in neutral moments. So before we dive deep into like what happened when you were a kid or anything like that, or anything super activating,
Yeah.
we like to first like explain to people, of course, like how the nervous system works, like all of that. So, later when we're asking people to do things, like at least for me, like if you tell me to do something, I'm not going to do it unless I know why I'm doing it and like unless I want to do it. So
Yeah.
just kind of also normalizing that experience that like, of course, what you're going through now makes sense. And this is why. And this is how the body works. And this is how the brain works. And this is how the nervous system works. And then just figuring out specifically those practices that help each individual person to regulate, to just live in a more relaxed body, to have their body accept that they're safe when they're actually safe. And then we go into like using our feelings because I say using because feelings aren't problems, they're signals. They're really important information. And if we learn to like actually get that information from them, they can be a really good guide. If we learn to respond to those feelings, not just react, we don't want to be like controlled by our feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And then also like do some somatic practices to let it go because we're not supposed to like hoard them and like have them stuck in our body forever. We really need that movement. And when the muscles are relaxed, it's easier to do that movement. Then we can go into more cognitive, work. We can go into like changing our patterns, right? Maybe working through some past traumas or negative beliefs or whatever. But until our nervous system is regulated and until our body feels safe, we really don't have access to a lot of those cognitive learning parts of the brain that we need. So that's why we do all of that first. And then once all of that is kind of like out of the way, all like the negative patterns and, things that people wanted to change, we now recalibrate our nervous system to not only feel safe with like stress or like, big negative emotions or sadness or grief or whatever, but to also be safe experiencing positive emotions and positive things and having the ability to say what we want to say, do what we want to do, the safety to be disliked. The whole idea, the reason that it's called the sovereign body method is it helps us to really become the leaders of our own lives, to be to stop being codependent and be able to make right choices for ourselves and know what those choices are without having to depend on somebody else or even like have to come to a therapist and ask for advice anymore.
So interesting. You mentioned like the positive stresses. Give me a little bit more information on that because I think that people don't. You had mentioned something about like being like feeling like safe to like kind of like let your guard down, or
Yeah.
what is that? Because I know that there's a lot of people that will struggle with that. I've seen it with a lot of people that go through some of the breath work. Like they're open to going like through a breath work like workshop is, I'm going to give one example, but
Mhm.
they don't actually integrate. I feel like they're like they did the process, but they like won't allow. It's almost like they don't allow themselves to like get the benefits of it.
I mean, we've heard of like positive affirmations, right? I mean, I've tried them, right? I'm sure a lot of people have tried them too. But imagine like you're telling yourself, I'm healthy, I'm rich, I'm successful, but your body is still tense and in this state of danger. So your body is responding to those words, those positive affirmations as still a danger.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's just not matching. So we just want the state of our body to also match what we're telling ourselves and the reality. Because I see a lot of people, they go through, therapy and then something good comes into their lives and they're just afraid and they start to self-sabotage and they're like not even accepting it or they're finding, issues with it.
Yeah.
And we've all done it. I've
Yeah.
done it, so
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I asked about it. Like, what part of the brain is that? Or like, what happened? Why do we do that? Is that just like, we just can't let it go? Like, what is that?
So remember, like our brain's job and our body's job and our nervous system job is to protect us.
Mhm.
So it's also like if we are used to something, our nervous system likes kind of consistency. So even if we're in a situation that we don't like or it's not good for us, it's familiar. So
Mhm.
it's in a way safer because anytime we go into something new or a new experience or a new situation, we
Mhm.
don't know what could happen.
Mhm.
Right? Maybe it looks like a good idea, but maybe in the end we're going to get hurt.
Mhm.
Right? So our brain kind of like blocks it and starts trying to protect us from that new negative outcome.
Mhm.
Even if we're already in like a negative situation, well, at least I know how to deal with it. Right? At least I know what to expect.
Mhm.
So we like kind of familiarity. So
Mhm.
stepping out into anything new or different is going to feel unsafe.
Okay. It's interesting. So interesting. So where do people find you online? Let me ask you, like, where are your socials? Can they work with you? Like, how does that all?
Yeah. Instagram is just my name, Liz Chellock. The website, if you want to learn more about like the therapy practice, is evolvetherapycounseling.com. I like meeting with all the new clients. I do free consultations just to get to know everybody and kind of hear, what they're looking for, what they're wanting. I like to kind of also let them know what to expect because it is a little bit different maybe than therapy that they've done before. And then I get them matched with one of our therapists who are all trained in this method.
Awesome. How long have you been doing this, Liz?
Oh my goodness, I spent, I never know how to answer that question because I spent like 9 years in school and then doing like 2 years of like, there's unpaid internships and then there's paid internships. But I started this practice in 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And what is the most rewarding thing that you've come up? What fills your cup up the most?
Honestly, just seeing and noticing like clients' body language, how it changes, and also them saying like, okay, I had this thing happen and it was so stressful, but like past I would have people pleased, right? Or in the past I would have freaked out or in the past, but I didn't. This is what I did instead.
Mhm.
So it's not like we're having less problems. I just noticed them being able to and being confident that like I can handle this. Like I am completely fine, like standing up for myself and just like communicating and setting boundaries and just being honest and being myself.
I love that. I love that. Well, it sounds like you have an amazing practice. It sounds like people have a very safe environment. I love that, you have so many different approaches to the way that you really tackle. I think it's really like tapping into being a personalized therapist and like, getting to know what your clients are like willing to do or where their mindset is. So that's really
Yeah.
awesome. What is one last final word of advice that you could give to our listeners today that you think really anyone could probably get something from?
I would say just again, like super simply as often as you can remember. There's no rules with this, right? Just like whenever you remember, drop into your body, connect with your body, notice where you have tension. And again, don't do it in like different moments. Do it when you're already like hanging out, chilling, and just like release that tension regularly. It really has like a significant impact on how we experience the world because the state of our body really does affect how we think, how we feel, all of these things.
I love that. In fact, when you did that earlier, I was like, oh my God, yeah, just I'm like you just see your whole body change and
Yeah.
oh my gosh, it's wild, right?
Yep.
And we're not out in Times Square dealing with like crowds and traffic, but like, yeah, you sit here and you have even just a normal conversation, but your
Yep.
body's physical reaction to like just an environment even
Yeah.
is like so I think that's just so powerful and important. So honestly, I would love to just keep going, but we have got to wrap this up. And I appreciate your time, Liz. I know you've got another meeting. So I just want to say to those out there listening, this has been such an incredible conversation with Liz. One of my biggest takeaways for myself is that awareness is really important. But it's the actions that you take to, integrate what that awareness is. So she reminds me honestly of what true transformation happens when we actually begin working with our nervous system and not against it. And like understand understanding what things like breath and, intention can do for us as individuals and can expand our mental health and the state of how we operate. So thank you again for sharing your wisdom and your experience and your expertise. And anyone listening, thank you for spending part of this journey today with us, talking about stress, how it resonates, how it can be managed and dealt with. And again, another wonderful week of Another Million Miles. And until next time, just live your best life, be happy doing it, take a deep breath, and we'll see you on the next episode. So thank you again, Liz, and everyone have a great day. Thank you for joining me on Another Million Miles, where luxury and authenticity meet to enrich your journey. This is Another Million Miles, and I'll see you on the path ahead in our next episode. Until then, keep embracing the journey, savoring each moment, keep dreaming big and moving closer to the life you envisioned, and traveling afar.